telling of Hades and Persephone. Persephone's pronouns are he, him. The first thing Demeter did when she became pregnant was clear the far corner of her garden. She dug out the bushes and flower beds, keenly aware of the growing inside her. When the work was over, she rested a dirt-caked hand on her belly and whispered into the dusk, "For you, love." He came with the first flowers, her little god of spring. She sits with him in the thin Wyoming grass. "What will you grow here, Persephone?" She laughs as bursts of hyacinth ride across the lawn. The flowers of his untamed toddler magic last only a moment. When he is old enough, he will have real flowers, soil in his nails and yellow-green sap staining his hands, and their gardens will grow into each other. He rambles among his short-lived bluebells and black-eyed Susans, creating with no sense of the seasons. It has been so long since she saw any beauty in magic. His hair grows into a mess of gold, always full of grass and twigs. In the morning, she sits on the top step of the porch, him a step below, and tames the mop into a braid. As her fingers brush the back of his neck, she weaves the charm that passes skin to skin. Be safe, be good, be happy. He scrambles home each afternoon with stories of nests high in the trees and secret places under the hydrangeas. His scrapes and bruises fade away by the time she tucks him in. He sleeps like the dead. His powers sometimes explode out in his excitement, dropping baby birds on the kitchen table or causing clusters of daisies to spring up in the trash can. Demeter takes care of these quietly when he isn't looking. Persephone stays later in the garden every day, but his stories wither to bones. He often forgets to kiss her on his way out the door. One day, she picks her way silently after him, following the thump of bare feet on the path. He cuts across his clearing, leaping over the gold petunias they planted on his last birthday. He skids to a stop under the beeches. A patch of scrub, frothy with purple flowers, grows in the mottled shade. A boy sits in the heather, dark hair sweeping off his shoulders as he looks up at her son. With a laugh, Persephone splays himself across the boy, head in his lap, tawny arm flopped across the darker legs. "Persephone," she calls as she marches toward him. He bolts up, trailing braid caught between the stranger's knees. "Mom!" He climbs to his feet. The look of him drags her back to the time of sacrifice and supplication, the fear-edged desire, the downcast eyes. "Mom, this is Heath. I meant to tell you, but how did he get here?" she asks. The answer shuffles his feet before her. The nymph boy gazes at him as if he holds the world. Her son created this being. His powers are growing, and now he approaches her like a goddess instead of a mother. Despite all her efforts, their nature creeps after them. Blood rushes in her ears. She cannot hear his halting explanation. "Go inside." He hesitates. She leans down, meets those sea blue eyes. "Go on. I want to talk to your Heath. I'll be along." He nods. The pad of his footsteps fades into the rustling leaves. Her eyes are locked on Persephone's nymph. He stands, bits of heather stuck to his thighs, and bows to her. "Go," she says. "Do not return." His head pops up, eyes huge under the sheath of hair that strung across his face. "But I love Persephone." Demeter stalks past him. The heather tickles her ankles. She grinds her feet into the earth, feels the tenor of Persephone's magic. "You have 5 seconds." Her voice is distorted by the crackle of gathering power. The nymph stares at her. Leaf-shaped shade ripples with the breeze. A sheen of sweat shows on his face. He stays. If he feels any pain, it is over too fast to see. He's gone. The ground beneath her feet is barren. She brushes off her hands as if her son will smell the deed on her. Her feet carry her down the path. The garden, pride of 100 years, passes in a blur. The battle is over, now to salt the earth. She sits him down on the bed and untangles his braid. Her fingers brush his shoulder blades. Mortals are fickle, Persephone. Their beauty and their hearts fail them. Her skin whispers into him, "Forget the nymph, forsake your power. Do not be like them." The gods are no better. She combs his dirt-flecked hair, stirring the scent of heather blossoms. "In this world, I trust only you." Persephone twists toward her, eyes wet. "I trust you too, Mom." She opens her arms and he falls into them. His fingers drag rivulets through her shirt. "I don't think we're going to see that boy again." Thank you.